Hi Melissa.
Hello.
Thank you for choosing to come to SP Therapy Services for your final placement. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I'd just like to ask you a couple of questions and such that we can send this to future potential students that might want to join us.
Okay.
So I just wanted to know what you expected before you came.
So my expectations were sort of very, very high. So having seen Anna, she taught on the neurological module on the MMC physiotherapy course. So I'd met Anna and I was just like, wow, who is this lady? I need to get to know more about her. So I just started following sort of some of the neurological clinics in the centre. So obviously I knew about SP, I found them on Facebook. And then it wasn't until my personal tutor, Deborah, made a recommendation about the elective offer at SP Therapy Services. So I went on the website, had a look to see what you do, and obviously I was expecting to see a lot of neurological conditions that I hadn't had experience on my previous placements, especially patients with traumatic brain injury, spinal cord. I'd had a sort of experience on the stroke ward previously, but obviously that was sort of limited to these other conditions. So I was really, really excited to get that hands-on experiences. You also had other interesting courses, things like falls prevention, hydrotherapy. Again, this was stuff that I hadn't done before, so obviously I came with expectations that I would be doing this, and obviously it was a mixture of clinic-based and community as well, so I kind of had an idea of what to expect.
And how have your last few weeks been?
So my last few weeks have been amazing. I've learned lots and lots of things. For example, obviously just listening to the patients. These are patients who've had long-standing conditions, some of them more recently. And it was actually quite interesting just learning more about sort of the legal cases and stuff that happens behind the scenes, because some of the patients will have ongoing cases, and just obviously listening to what's going on in that case from a physiotherapy perspective, because obviously we need to know when we have to write reports to their case manager, but also just noticing how that case may actually impact their day-to-day sort of functions. So obviously sometimes they're very anxious, and that does play a role when we're delivering obviously therapy. They may be stressed from going through those processes. So that's obviously one thing I've learned, obviously to consider the whole picture, and going back on that as well, obviously treating patients in different settings. So one day I'm in the clinic, then maybe the next hour I'm going on home visit, I'm going to daycare centres, I've had opportunities to go to MS Society. So obviously it's just picking up skills and not just obviously focusing on one environment, but being able to adapt in different situations. And obviously each of those settings came with its own challenges, maybe the space or patients' housing, how they live as well. You've got to accommodate for that. They may not be the wonderful plinths that we have, so obviously you've got to take your own portable ones. So yeah, it's just been obviously a lot of other skills that I've gained besides obviously the main principles of treating these patients with neurological conditions, but just thinking about how that fits in with that person. It's more obviously real life applicable therapy, because you're considering that patient, how they're going to manage in the community, which is where they are going to spend that time. So that's what matters, not just thinking about obviously how many sit to stands and wraps and all of that. That doesn't matter as long as that patient can get from A to B, they can reach for the cupboard, that sort of thing. So it was real life sort of therapy, and I've had a massive sort of knowledge overload basically from what I've learned before. So yeah, I think that's that. And just being creative. We knew you could do therapy with a balloon, for example. So pegs, bottle caps, just obviously just thinking outside of the box, making that therapy again sort of specific for that individual. And obviously it's more interactive. If they enjoy it, they're more likely to engage in that therapy more, and they'll want to come back, and it's more meaningful to them.
Lovely, thank you. And have you specific highlights?
So obviously my biggest highlight, and I'm not just saying this because Sue's here, but the Bolton Neurovoices hydrotherapy has probably been the most wonderful experience that I've had, just because I've never had experience of hydrotherapy throughout my course or in any work experience. And it was very, very interesting. Obviously, you've got various patients with neurological conditions, but coming together to work together in the team, formulating the groups, working out which patient deserves to go in this group or needs to go in another group, but just seeing their faces light up. So from week one, they were so scared and so anxious, and then obviously the weeks, you just see like this person is getting confident, they're able to do so much more, and they come back and say, you know what, since last week's session, I felt much better, my posture's been better. So obviously that's just been amazing just to see that, and it shows a real need for sessions like hydrotherapy for these type of patients. And obviously I've had experience in MS Society. Again, that was a massive highlight, just because it was a chance to just hear people's stories and how they interact with one another. So even though they all have MS, they still have their own individual personal situations going on, but at the end of the day they share tips, and that's what matters. These patients, they experience it on a day-to-day basis. We may know it from because we're reading from books and sources, but at the end of the day you have to listen to your patient, and they're able to sort of contribute, and they'll tell you like, you know what, try this worked for me. So just seeing them, how they interact with one another, has been a great thing.
And have you got any message for any student that might follow you?
Just come with an open mind, come to learn, and obviously just have fun, because the more you have fun with it, the patients will engage more. And obviously that one thing I think from Anna, if you get the chance to work with Anna, that enthusiasm, just keep it going from the morning session to the end of the session. And if you have fun with it, they're gonna have fun, and they're gonna trust you, and you build that rapport. It's not like working in a hospital or MSK outpatient, where you're gonna see that patient once every like 3 weeks. These are patients that come in to see you once a week. So it's very, very important that you obviously build that rapport and trust. So just come with an open mind. Don't be too textbook focused. Just pick up something, just learn something. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.